Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. Pitu and Beth are here as ever, and we are going to be talking about Ms. Kareena Kapoor and Jaane Jaan, which we have seen. I don't even know if Pitu liked it or not. We've also watched a couple of other thriller slash mysteries that we will toss in towards the end here. And I would just like to say that I think that we somehow brought about this movie because we just talked about Intikam, from which the song Jaane Jaan comes, just a few months ago when we were talking about Sadhana. So you're welcome.
Right.
What did you think of this movie?
I was disappointed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
So I had high hopes from it. Because apparently this story, I guess it's like from a Japanese novel, and some people told me that it's been made 5 times into movies, and so this is
Wow.
like the 5th iteration of it. Apparently, the Drishyam movies, which I have not seen, are also based on it, or at least Drishyam 1 is. So I went in with high expectations because I was like, okay, well, the star cast is good, and if this movie has been made like 5 times already based on the book, then it probably is good. And I do like movies based off of books, you know. So I had high expectations. I was very underwhelmed, and I wouldn't recommend this to anyone, where I wouldn't be like, oh, you have to watch Johnny Jam. I was just kind of like, eh.
Okay.
It was also disappointing because I watched it on the heels of finishing up Dahaad, which is a show on streaming. It's made by Rima Kagti and Zoya Akhtar. And I think Rima Kagti is one of the co-directors of the film. It's these 2 women directors who've made it, and it's on Amazon Prime. And that also had Vijay Varma in it, and it had Sonakshi Sinha, who completely blew me away, and
Mm.
Gulshan Davaya, who was always excellent. So the Hard was so excellent, like all 10 episodes or whatever of it. And then I saw Jaane Jaan, I was like, really? So I, w- I was underwhelmed. There were some things I liked about it. I guess the story was interesting. Jaideep Ahlawat. Okay, so it's funny. I did not watch Jaane Jaan for Jaideep Ahlawat because I don't particularly have an opinion about him. I've only seen him in one thing in the past, which is Patalok. I don't know if you've seen Patalok, but okay, so he was fine in that. So I didn't particularly care about him one way or the other, but I did want to see for Bebo because I do like her and I adore Vijay Varma. And I had just seen The Hard, in which he was, and I loved him in Darlings also. That was our very first episode. So the funny thing was, Jaideep Ahlawat was the one who stole the show, and he's the one that I couldn't care less going in. And Vijay Varma, I thought was so underwhelming. And I was like, what happened to you? He was a fantastic serial killer in The Hard,
Mm.
which, by the way, this is not a spoiler because literally from the first episode, he's the serial killer. So The Hard is not it's not a who done it, it's a how done it. It's more about how they're gonna catch Vijay
I'll
Varma.
catch him.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so he was great in that. And then this, I was like, okay, what are you doing? What is this weird bumbling shit you're doing? And then what is this karaoke song you're doing with Bebo? I was just kind of like, no, I want my menacing evil Vijay Varma. I don't want
Mm.
bumbling Vijay Varma. And also, why did we have to sit through the 5 minute, whatever it felt like 5 minutes? It probably wasn't 5 minutes. The mixed martial arts that Vijay Varma was doing. I was like, is this supposed to?
Symbolism.
Well, I was like, you're not Akshay Kumar. Not that I watch Akshay Kumar movies. And I was like, okay. And then there's Jaideep Ahlawat with his judo. And I was like, okay. So I guess this movie did not work for me for 2 reasons, because I'm not a professional film reviewer, but I have 2 rules. Number one, for me to like something, I have to care about the characters, and I did not care about
Oh,
anyone.
okay.
This is it's shocking for me to say because A, I love Bebo. And B, anytime you show me a movie or a TV serial that has like, a single mom and she's on the run from like some crazy psycho husband of hers, sleeping with the enemy or provoked or, things like that, I'm always going to root for her, right? Like I want her to be safe. I want her to fight back. I want her to be happy. I didn't care about Bebo.
Oh.
I couldn't care less where she was caught. Like I didn't care. I didn't care about Jaideep Ahlawat. I didn't care about Vijay Varma. And it also failed my second test. My second test is my cell phone test, which means, do I reach for my cell phone? And I found myself reaching for my cell phone and scrolling Instagram multiple times. So it failed on both levels. And I was just kind of like, okay, when is this movie done? I probably would not have finished it if we were to
Oh,
record it. So
wow.
I know I started off saying that I was underwhelmed, but I really didn't care for it. And I do wonder to what extent it's because I had just seen The Haat, which I recommend very, very strongly. It was a 10 on 10 in every way: writing, superlative, direction, superlative, acting. Sonakshi Sinha blew me away. And the only other movie I've seen of hers is Lutera. Literally, I haven't seen, well, and I've seen The Bunk, but it's not like she blew me away in that. So coming off of The Haat, it was just kind of like, really, this is the best you can do. It was just, it felt very lazy to me.
Interesting.
I did like the cinematography, I will say that, but I didn't even find the cinematography and the setting as attractive or as mysterious as I found Aranyak, which is the streaming show that had Ravina Tandon in it. I thought that was much more captivating than this one was. Although Aranyak, they really messed it up at the end, but it was prettier. Bhedia also I liked more. Like I'm talking visually. So even from like a visual perspective, this isn't the best I've seen. I would rank Aranyak and Bhedia higher than it. So there just really wasn't anything in this that made me go, wow. So my verdict on it would be, watch it if you care about Bebo, or I guess if you're a Jaideep Ahlavat fan. Other than that, I would not recommend it. But I would very, very, very strongly recommend watching The Haat. Please watch The Haat, you guys, if you haven't. It's on Prime Video. It tackles not only the serial killer, the how done it part of it. It's set in Rajasthan. It's gorgeous. It's also, it tackles sexism because Sonakshi Sinha is a cop. And it tackles the caste system because she's like from a lower caste. And there's multiple scenes where initially I didn't get it because I'm a dum-dum. But every time she walks into the office, the police station, there's this one coworker. He always lights like incense and he like waves it in her direction. And I was like, what is he doing? And then later on, I realized it's because he thinks she's like polluting the atmosphere. So icky, so infuriating.
Wow.
And the show is so well done. It's so funny, like unintentionally funny, like where she's a cop and she goes to question the suspect's mother, not Vijay Varma, different person. She's questioning them and she's being all like tough and asking all the hard questions. And the parents answer them. And then right before she's going to leave, the mother says, "Tumhara pyar ho gaya hai? Are you married?" And she just gives her the most like disgusted look. And she's like, bye, goodbye. And then she just like leaves. So Sonakshi Sinha just like killed it. I would recommend The Haat very highly. So yes, now you tell me what you thought.
I'm surprised because I liked this quite a bit until the end. Warning goes here. There will be spoilers. Duck out now. I can't believe we lasted this long without any, actually. But
I know I didn't give away any spoilers. I'm so shocked.
No, you did a good job because I liked it very much until the very end. And I would like to talk about the very end. We can put off a little bit. So again, there's a warning coming, like in another 3 minutes, you might want to bail. I thought the performances were great. I thought Bebo just is, they kept referring the subtitle. No, this was in English in the movie. They kept calling her Hot, which was funny to me. Like, did she get that written in somehow that she had to be called Hot over and over again?
The first time they said that, I was so confused. I was like, which hot neighbor? I was like, oh, they're talking about Bebo.
I mean, I think she looks luminous, but also just, I thought she was doing I've always liked her. And I was at first a person who kind of was like grudgingly liked her because she's so obnoxious in some of her early films, but then I really did like her in others. And I was so impressed. Not that I didn't think she could do it, but I thought she nailed it. I do like.
You like the movie Kushi. It is not possible for a person to like Kushi without liking Bebo. Like that is like a prerequisite.
Right. So, I was very excited to see this, and I didn't really know anything about it going in. I'd even forgotten it was Sujoy Ghosh actually until I saw his name appear. I would rank this probably as my second favorite of his projects, actually, behind Kahani. And it's well behind Kahani because everything is well behind Kahani, in my opinion. But I liked this better than his segment for Lust Stories that we talked about, a couple.
Oh, that was horrible.
I
think Vijay Varma shouldn't work with Sujoy Ghosh anymore.
It sounds like that might be
because Lust Stories was not.
I do think that he did not bring anything particularly special to this role, and it could have been someone else, but I'm glad for it to have been him. I like to see
Yeah.
him. I'm glad for him that he was doing something different than what he did in Darlings, because I don't want him to get typecast. I thought Jaideep was remarkable, kind of playing so many different things at once.
So creepy.
Very creepy. Can we talk? I want to talk about that character for a minute, and then maybe we can go into the very end. This movie did not pass my phone test either. I took several breaks in it. I actually stopped it and then went to bed, although I am recovering from a surgery, so I'm extra tired, but like I had to wait till the next day to finish it. But I was interested. Like I got up and made my tea and then sat down and watched it right away. I kept thinking about whether this character would call himself a nice guy. And he doesn't say that. I was just kind of thinking about that, since that's a thing that's in the, cultural ethos these days. And I am to the conclusion that he is not a nice guy at all. He's absolutely a horribly violent person.
He's loco.
Who murders at least one person, possibly two, I guess. And now let's get to the spoiler.
Well, two for sure, right? Because he killed the husband, but he also killed the homeless guy.
Right. So, but we never see
the body,
them kill the husband. Right. And we never see what happens to that body at all.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I haven't missed something. Again, sometimes I'm on a bit of medication these days. Like, what did I miss? Maybe this is not the condition to watch mysteries. And okay. So I would like to complain about the ending, because I'm not really sure that this falls into what the, kind of golden age mystery writers detection club referred to as fair play. And that, oh, by the way, that was a completely different person we made up. And so knowing what we know at the end, did we ever see the actual husband at all?
What do you mean, his body?
Anything about him in a flashback, his photo, we never saw anyone.
No.
At all. So, okay. So I think that that's not exactly following the rules of the detection, kind of system very well. Because in Kahani, they do show us the actual husband. They show it to him. They show him us to him. No, him to us.
Him to us.
Right away. We see him. We understand that he's going to die in the train. And if you don't assume that that's her actual husband, even though with what they show to be her husband, like, you've already seen this guy die on the train. So why would we be looking for someone we didn't already see? Which is what so I understood Kahani right away. I should put out, I did not have subtitles for it. So I was just free to look at stuff. And So, I think while this is a very similar twist to Kahani, it actually is a little bit unfair. And I was a little mad when the movie ended, because it's not quite as stupid as it was a ghost. Or it was a fantastical mystical creature. It's pretty shady, I have to say.
Right. But do you think he was just like made up? Like a figment of Jaideep's imagination?
I think the awful husband, who is a former police officer, is real. We just never see him.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair on the viewer to be like, oh, there's a completely duplicate person that we gave you no hint was a duplicate.
Right.
Except for the mathematical formula, which I think he introduced actually fairly late, about, you're so happy with the problem. The solution I give you, you could think of your own, but you're not. And that's a fair point, right? Like, that's a good lesson in life. And especially if you are a police officer, but, yeah. Anyway, so that's my bit of a gripe about this movie. But otherwise, I was quite taken. I loved the Kalimpong environment. I've only been to Darjeeling. I've not been to Kalimpong, but it's, oh, so beautiful and foggy and twisty turny and up and down. And it's hard to get a straight line of vision across anything, because there's always some, multi-storied structure or a mountain in your way. Like I thought the setting was great. I actually liked the setting here more than I did in Kahani 2, which is a movie I don't really remember very well, but I thought this was more effective. It's easy to be more effective than Arjun Rampal, I must say. So maybe that's not the setting. But I was with it the whole way until the very end. And I was satisfied with what I thought was going to be the end fairly well. So
Okay.
I don't know. I do hope Karina does more streaming stuff and
Yeah.
just more stuff in general. I'm very happy to see her, and I thought everyone was good.
I just thought it was so amazing that we've been watching Karina since 2000. I think Refugee came out in 2000. And it's like till now, her most iconic roles have been Pooh, obviously, in
Yeah.
K3G, and Jab We Met. I think those two are her
Yeah.
main ones that people talk about, or like Chameli and stuff like that. And it's just kind of interesting to see her so comfortable and confident in her own skin, and
Yeah.
like wearing a ponytail and jeans and hoodies. And it was just kind of, I guess I have a soft spot for Karina because like we've just sort of seen her entire transition from like this extremely glamorous like K3G musical person, um to this person now that does like these stronger roles. And I just like the last thing I saw her in was Lal Singh Chadda, and she was by far the best thing about it. She
Mm.
was fantastic in it. And then before that, what had I seen her in? Urta Punjab, I think. So she was a doctor in Urta Punjab.
Yeah.
And it's like this more like grown up, sensible, level headed, not as glamorous Karina is. Just she's lovely. It's really nice to see her. And I hope she gets to do more roles for sure. So I mean, I went in watching it for her, and she did not disappoint me. I did enjoy that bit. I did not like some of the mathematical stuff that they showed him doing. Like I liked his scenes with the students. You could really
Yeah.
see his meanness,
Yeah.
right? Like those students were so sweet, and they clearly like worship the ground he walks on, and they're just always trying to like get his approval and his attention and things, which is so like sweet. And he's so nice to them so many times. And then that one time that he like snapped at the student, I was like, how dare you, you are so mean. Like the little boy looked so crestfallen. I was very like angry on his behalf. So I liked his whole things, like the teacher aspect of it. And then
Mhm.
I loved that scene with him and Vijay Varma, where he said to Vijay Varma that he intentionally sets papers that force people to think. Like, I don't set difficult papers. I just want them to think for themselves.
Yeah.
He just seemed like a really good teacher in a lot of ways. But then that I had flashbacks of A Beautiful Mind and all of that, with all the equations on the boards and everything. So that felt a little like silly and overdone to me. But he was creepy as heck. And I have no idea how tall and built this guy is, but he looks giant, especially with that coat on. Like he's very imposing
Yeah.
physically, I feel like. Which is something I noticed in Pata Look as well. So that was kind of cool. And I want to go back to what you said about him being a nice guy, because I had not thought about that. But after you said that, I was like, yeah, he does come across as this like weird incelly person, doesn't he? Where,
Totally.
yeah,
Totally.
where he's like, I'm her savior, you guys. And it's like, okay, well, in this particular situation, she does want slash need the saving, but that's a very problematic road you're going down on. So yeah, that was very creepy. Like, even how annoying was that waitress in the cafe? I forget her name. Prema,
I
who
am
was
her. I am Prema.
where she was like, oh, teacher comes. Teacher doesn't come on the day that you're not here. Teacher is here today. Teacher is not here today. Oh, teacher. I was
That'd be
like,
me.
will you shut up? I was like, can you just do your job? And then she blabs all the things to Vijay Verma. And I was like, oh, Prema.
I also loved the other police officer that he's working with.
Who has no patience for him?
Yeah, what's his
Oh,
name?
oh, the
The local
northeastern
the
or
local police
Bengali.
officer,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He was cute.
He was very
That
funny.
was that scene, right, where Vijay Verma makes some like comment about single moms or something like that, and then he says, "I was raised by a single mom,"
Oh,
and then he like
and I
he
love
was
his
very
comment.
sweet.
He's always commenting on like, "Oh, those are the best momos" or whatever.
He was cute. We love a good cop who is like interested in food.
Yeah.
Um, it was interesting too, where they go to eat the dragon momos, and she intentionally orders the like really spicy. I really wanted Vijay Varma to infuse some of his own personality into it, and I just feel like he played it so straight, and I was just kind of like,
Do you think
oh,
the film had room for another big character? Because I'm not sure that
no,
it did.
no, not a big character for sure. He just felt very blah to me.
Mm.
Like he was just very blah, and I'm just so he kind of felt wasted to me. Like I
Mm,
felt like Vijay Varma's role could have been done by anybody.
I think that's
Like you could
probably
have
true.
given his role to Arjun Rampal, and Arjun Rampal would have been fine. Well, maybe not, but
Let's
still.
not go quite that far.
What about Uday Chopra? Lunchy, this is your cue to have a shot.
That's right.
But yeah, I just kind of felt like, however, back to Vijay Verma, I feel like he is definitely getting typecast because I don't remember him from Gully Boy at all. He played Moeen in it, and I don't remember him.
Mm,
But Darlings and then The Hard, in both things, he's basically played like this psycho crazy person. And then I do want to watch Kalkut. It's very annoying that Kalkut is only on Geo. And so, like, you don't
mm.
get Geo outside of India. So, unless I figure out some VPN stuff, I don't know how to watch it. But he plays a cop in that. So, I am currently a Vijay Verma completist where I want to watch everything
Oh,
he's
wow.
in. Beth, you have no idea how good he was in The Hard. Like, it is impossible to watch The Hard and not become a Vijay Verma fan. That's how great he was. So
Wow.
I just want to watch everything he's been in. I might just go back and watch Gully Boy just to see his Moeen role. But so again, in light of all the great performances of his that I've seen, this again felt kind of like, oh, you cast Vijay Verma, but he's kind of wasted. So yeah, there was that.
So
How
have
did
you?
it feel to see a Helen song performed?
Oh, I loved that, of course.
Always a
Of
good
course. And
time.
I've had that song stuck in my head basically off and on for months ever since watching the film. Um, its original film. And so then to get it again. And um I think that we know in retrospect why Maya acts the way she does throughout
Yes.
the whole karaoke outing experience.
Yeah.
But as you're watching it, if you have not already figured everything out, which I did not because I am dumb, um, and mysteries almost always work for me because I almost never figure anything out.
Same.
Um, um, that song is infectious, I think, and I can see that even if you had what looks like quite triggering memories associated with it, um, well, okay,
You would like loosen up a little and
maybe, yeah,
yeah.
like maybe the song can move you anyway. I might take that back. That might be a really insensitive thing to say, but um because she was basically sex trafficked, it sounds like.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's the power of a song does not need to overcome that. But I do think it's a
Right.
very powerful song, and I can see someone who is resistant to dancing or whatever kind of getting in the mood from
Yeah.
that song. It's such a good song.
Yeah.
And I liked watching his sort of dorky attempts to kind of mirror her dance moves and everything. That was fun.
You
Um,
know, the other thing I noticed in that song, it's like, yes, Karina in this movie is so like de-glam and she's a single mom living in a small hill station and all of that, but that woman is a star.
mhm,
Karina Kapoor was
mhm.
just, she was just born a star first
Yeah.
and then the acting came. Because even in that de-glam avatar, in that Jaane Jaan song, you can see the difference between her and Vijay Verma. Vijay Verma is just not arresting in the way that Bebo is. Bebo, you can put her in a potato sack, but once she gets in the groove, you can't look away. I loved her in it.
Well, he's not filmy, maybe, you know.
Yeah,
And
he's not.
she is many things,
She's
among them filmy.
yeah. I think I would say Filmi is paramount for Karina, but yeah, that was great. What I know you saw another thriller
Well,
movie
yeah, I
set in the
did. And I
Himalaya.
was just pulling up a friend on Twitter, Tamarindric3, sorry, I'm stumbling over someone's username, said, waiting for a Filmy Ladies podcast episode on thrillers set in Indian hill stations. I was like, ooh, what a great micro genre. And the only, so there's Teasery Munzil.
Yes.
I think the only other one that I've seen that would really count as a thriller is one of the Bumkesh films, that one of the Bengali ones is set in the Duars. And it's quite beautiful with the hills and the little paths and like the beautiful old houses like
Hmm.
this one and stuff like that. So it's um I've seen that. I'm very open to suggestions for others. And I went to Googling either yesterday or Saturday. I can't remember. I was trying to find another thing to watch to go along with this because I thought that was such a good idea. And I came upon a great list of movies set in Darjeeling, most of which are not thrillers or mysteries, but there was
Yeah.
one that said it was, and it's called Humraaz from 1967. It's a B.R. Chopra film. Unfortunately, the beginning part is Darjeeling, then they go to Bombay, and that's where the mystery starts to kick in. So technically,
Oh.
not a mystery set in a hill station, but it is set in a hill station for the first chunk. That's where the love story happens.
Okay.
And then we move to Bombay. So let me give a quick summary of this film for those who have not seen it, which includes Pitu.
Yes.
So we have Vimy, unfortunately, one of the most wooden of the heroines of yesterday, perhaps the most wooden that I've ever seen. She's really bad, you guys, in the couple things I've seen her in. She plays the daughter of a military contractor. She's like the only child, very beloved. We would know nothing about that, Pitu and I, being a beloved only daughter. And she is in love for
What would we know
reasons-
about being the center of the universe, like our parents' universe? Nothing.
Nothing. Here's the thing we don't know about: being in love with Raj Kumar and eloping with him.
That is not a thing I'm familiar with. Please tell our viewers the comment that you sent to me.
Well, that's right. So I saw on YouTube, on one of the uploads of this movie, there's a user comment that says something like Raj Kumar is my love or my heart or something like that. And I was like, huh, because I may have said this before, apologies if so. I feel like I run with a lot of vintage film fans. I've never met anyone who really loves Raj Kumar. I've met people who think he's okay, but I've never met anyone who's like, he's my favorite.
I think he's hot. So I belong to the category of people who think he's sleazy hot. Because, you know, sleazy hot is a category, like ugly hot. Yeah. It's something about his, like, he's always a cad. Even when he's not playing a cad, you think he's a cad. So he is in the sleazy hot category.
So they elope, kind of adding to your cad thing. He's in the military, and the dad has said he won't let his daughter marry anyone in the military because he wants to hand his business over to someone.
Okay.
I'm like, you could just sell it, but okay, no. So anyway, so they elope. Dad is like, but I want you to get married in grand style, so it's all going to be okay. But then a war with China breaks out, and Raj Kumar is killed.
Oh.
Vimy is pregnant.
Okay.
And a la Agale Lagja, they say the baby is stillborn. It is not. The dad whisks the baby away to give her up for adoption.
Okay.
Then Sunil Dutt comes to town as a like traveling actor musician guy. He's like a stage show guy. He's super dreamy in this movie visually. There's some things to his character where you're like, you are not a good person, but then he redeems himself in the end. And I will share some screen grabs because I thought
so
he was
it's great, Sunil Dutt.
Really rocking his like 1967 style, I have to say.
I may have to watch this because, as you know, I do find Sunil Dutt extremely gorgeous.
And he has a lot of songs. He falls in love with Vimy. Again, she's like so boring. But anyway, so they get married and they go off to Bombay. And then she gets a call from Darjeeling that her dad is really ill. So she goes back home and he says, by the way, your daughter wasn't really stillborn. I sent her to an orphanage. Here's the info. He croaks. So then she has this daughter who's played by Sarika. And who is instantly recognizable as she's like 6 in this movie and she's cute as a button. Totally recognize who she is. I was like, I know that little face. That little face is a superstar too. She's so cute. Anyway, and then more things happen. And then I will just say this, Vimy is killed. And it is fairly unusual for the heroine of a film to just be murdered and not dies in childbirth or anything. She is murdered with a gun.
Okay.
And so then other things happen, and then I won't say anymore.
This movie is very dramatic. People are like dropping like flies in it.
Yeah, it's a good time. There's a really nice upload of it on YouTube, and then if you need subtitles, there's one where it's broken into 27 parts on a playlist with English subtitles, so you can watch that like I did. Would recommend. To me, it was not as good as Jaane Jaan. So I too followed a good mystery with a lesser one. Sounds like you did, and our chain keeps going. But I have a pretty high threshold for thriller / mystery, especially when the violence is fairly minimal or is kind of not stomach turning, and it was not here. I mean, there's a lot of bright red blood, but it's like Chopra movie bright red blood. It's not grisly. It's sort of colored.
Like there might be a sequin or two in it.
This very much has walked holdover vibes to it. Like a lot of the settings seem similar. There's a lot of like bright colored couches with the candy colored throw pillows. There's a sunken circular living room where Sunil Dutt's like lounging and on the phone and everything. It's so
drinking a cocktail.
He has this cute little coffee maker that he's playing with. It's all just super. There's a nice big blue car. Would watch.
But I thought that was Mumtaz in this movie.
Mumtaz is in this movie. This is the third movie in a row that I've seen with Mumtaz where she is underused and underappreciated, in my opinion. So she plays Sunil Dutt's stage heroine. And
Oh,
there's a brief moment where Vimy seems kind of jealous of her, but there's nothing going on there. She's just his
okay.
friend and colleague.
Because initially, when you told me the star cast of her, you were like, I'm going to watch Hamraaz and this is the star cast. I was like, wait, it's Sunil Dutt and Mumtaz? So they're a pairing? Because that just sounds so
It's a little
odd.
weird. Yeah, it's a weird cast.
Yeah.
Um, and again, you could have replaced Vimy with literally anyone. Although our friend who writes the Dusted Off blog wrote about this
Mm,
movie, and she was saying, um, you couldn't have cast someone like Sharmila Tagore in it because the audience would not have stood for her being murdered.
right.
And
This
I
is
think
true.
that's probably true. So, Vimy, this may have been your ultimate purpose in life to be a disposable heroine. I don't know, but Vimy's actual life story is really sad.
I know.
I hadn't known that until yesterday, and I'm very sorry for her. That really is awful. Um, so any hoodle. It's as a thriller, I'd say it's not as good as the Sadhna ones we were talking about a couple
Yeah.
episodes
The
ago, but
Raj
like,
Khosla movies.
there's only so many 1960s Hindi thrillers or Bengali thrillers or whatever. So I will watch any of them. And if you have more recommendations for me, please put them in the comments. I've seen quite a few. Like Shashi Kapoor is in a couple that are better than this, in my opinion, because he's so good. Although Sunil Dutt is also quite good. And here's the two warnings I want to give. One, there's blackface in this movie
Okay.
because Sunil Dutt plays Othello.
He plays Othello? Okay.
Yeah.
I love
And
Sunil Dutt, but I feel like that's a
and
stretch. Actually,
the subtitles are not accurate, but you can hear him saying Desdemona and stuff like this and
okay.
Iago. So like you can figure out what, because yeah, blackface, like that's bad news. And then I felt like I've seen Sunil Dutt do blackface before, and I couldn't remember what for. Maybe I've just seen a clip of this for some reason. Anyway, so there's that, and then also
There's blackface in the original Jaane Jaan song with
yeah,
that Helen has. I
yeah,
mean, that
sure
video
is.
is cringe as
It's eye
heck.
popping. Yeah. Um,
I've seen that video once and I'm like, yeah, okay, despite my love for Helen, I will
right.
only this is an audio only
Yeah, you want to
experience.
put like an emoji over that guy's face. It's so horrible.
It's so bad.
The other thing I want to say about this movie is Sunil Dutt's character is the hero, but he is one of these heroes who goes through the arc of like, I'm jealous of my wife. I don't believe her. She's clearly up to something. Um, and then at the end apologizes and is like, I built this house out of love and I destroyed it myself with my jealousy. So I was like, okay, we're learning and growing. It's a
Yeah.
little late, but I'm glad you're learning and growing. So I would say that this is a good movie for people who like mysteries. The Darjeeling part, honestly, you could fast forward. This movie has no comic side plot of any kind, by the way, which
That's
is
good.
remarkable, but I still felt it dragged a little bit in the beginning. But by the
Mm,
time they get to Bombay and stuff starts to happen more,
right.
the songs are front loaded as well in Darjeeling part, I would say. So you could,
Hmm.
watch those or just get them to Bombay and then you'll be fine. Although it's pretty in Darjeeling, of course, the
Right,
scenery
right.
is beautiful. So anyway, and also for our Sunil Dutt fan friends, if you haven't already seen this one, it has the Filmy Lady stamp of approval from me
Okay.
anyway.
Does he cry in this movie? Because I love a good Sunil Dutt
Ooh.
cry.
You know what? I don't remember. I think he must at least tear up a little bit. He does a lot of emotions, though, especially when he's being Othello
Okay,
and
good.
and all that kind of stuff. So it's
My favorite like Sunil Dutt microgenre is Sunil Dutt crying and wistfully looking in the distance while like the curtains are like moving in the breeze and he's just
mm,
welling up. Oh, he just looks so pretty. Sunil Dutt is just like
he looks
so endearing.
very pretty in this, but I don't think
Yeah.
he actually cries. But he is like in love with Vimy all the time and like looking lovingly at her and being cute. And he and Sarika have a really cute interaction where
Oh,
she's
I
in their
bet.
house and he comes in and she's like hiding behind the couch and she's like, "Come here," and he's like, Me? And then they play and
Oh.
it's super cute. He's really cute with the
Oh, I bet those bits are cute. But like, was Vimy just very cardboard in this movie?
Vimy is very cardboard. Oh, here's the other thing I
Oh.
want to tell you. Simladat actually there's also a scene where he's getting ready in the morning and he's like literally jumping up and down and doing jump rope in his little shorty shorts with no shirt on. And then he goes in the bathroom and is using his electric shaver while Vimi's on the phone. So you get a whole lot of Sunil Dutt in this movie.
Okay, I will watch the whatever installment of the 12 episodes, the 12 parts has that in it.
I will link it.
watch
I will link it in this episode so everyone can watch it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because Sunil Dutt in his swim trunks and Vakt is also very, very delicious.
Yes, very, and it's like that, but more, and like literally bouncing up and down and everything. It's very funny.
We should have a playlist which is just like Sunil Dutt in skimpy clothes.
It's incredibly niche.
Only the Filmi Ladies would have that playlist. So speaking of thrillers set in hill stations, like when you and I were discussing this on WhatsApp, I remembered this movie, but the thing is, I couldn't recommend it to you because A, it's bad, and B, it's not set in an Indian hill station. It's set in Scotland of all things, and that's Neeyat.
Oh,
so did you ever get around to watching it?
No, because literally everyone I've heard talk about it says
it's so bad.
It's disappointing at best, and it's really too bad because love Vidya, love a mystery, but everyone is saying it's terrible.
Yeah, I watched it because I love Vidya, and I was like, it just seemed very like Agatha Christie-esque, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. And Vidya Balan is a detective, absolutely 100% believable. Sure, I'll go for it. It was so bad. So disappointing. And I mean, Vidya couldn't save it. And Ram Kapoor is in it, and he plays this like billionaire person. He seems kind of modeled on like Vijay Mallya. And he is a torture to watch.
He can be a lot.
Absolute torture. He's a lot. He's just so over the top crazy. Like,
and
he was funny, very bad in Neeyat.
We love a lot, but there's certain flavors of a lot that just don't work for each person.
He's just so loud. I mean, visually loud, audibly loud. His presence is just too much. I'm like, can you tone it down? So Neeyat was very disappointing.
Is it the script that's the problem?
Yes, the script is very bad. The direction is very bad. The acting is horrendous. I mean, because there's a lot of people in it, because it's, very classic, like Agatha Christie type, where it's like literally they're all stuck in Scotland because it's this billionaire person's like birthday. The reason I say he's also modeled on Vijay Mallya is because A, he's flamboyant, and B, he has gone to a country which India does not have an extradition treaty with, but he owes like all these banks in India so much money. So it's literally like Vijay Mallya. So he's like hiding out in Scotland because he can. And his friends have flown in from India for his like big birthday bash, but there's a storm. And so no one can get out of that, like they're kind of locked down in the castle. So it's very like classic Agatha Christie. It's like, all these suspects, and then someone dies, and it's like, who killed that person, right? And the supporting cast is horrific. There's Dipanita Sharma, who's bad. There's Samir Soni, who's bad. There is this awful influencer person. Like, I do not like this trend of casting influencers and all these things. They're so hideous, all of them. So there's that influencer person in it. Not one expression on her face. Just everyone is so bad. It's like, and Vidya Balan has a very bad haircut or wig, like with a little fringe. And I was just like, I don't think you should do that fringe with I love you, but no. So it was just a disappointment.
This is very sad because I would. Listeners, I might still watch it anyway. You should. I've been warned by Amrita told me not to. Patu's telling me not to. Multiple other people have told me not to. Many people have told the universe not to. Yeah. I want to like it. I like Neeraj Kabi very much.
Right.
There's someone else in this movie that I really like, and now I can't remember. Oh, I like Rahul Bose actually, and
Rahul Bose is also kind of insufferable in this. Rahul Bose has hammed to the nth degree. He plays this like gay brother-in-law of Ram Kapoor. So he's Ram Kapoor's wife's brother, and he's gay, which I think in Rahul Bose's brain means that he can just amp it up to like the 1000th level and just be insufferable. He's insufferable too.
I mean, and even mainstream Hindi cinema has moved on from that somewhat, right? Like 10 years ago, we were still doing that, but like, it's
No, and he
evolved.
competes with Ram Kapoor in terms of how loud he can be. So Rahul Bose is very bad in this as
Oh
well. So
dear.
it's like even the people that you like, I don't know
No.
about others, but I don't ever expect a good performance from Ram Kapoor, and he was terrible. But if you're expecting a good performance from Rahul Bose, you're not going to get it. And if you're expecting a great performance from Vidya, the script is just so bad. There's very little she can do. All she does is she just looks coldly at everyone, kind of like, are you the murderer? Like, that's all she does. It's so bad. Maybe you should just watch it, because I'm looking forward to all the hate comments that you send me on WhatsApp,
I've got
because
I've
I
got
do
a
find those entertaining.
I've got a wonderful friend in Michigan who runs the website called Cultural Gutter, which everyone should
Oh,
read.
yeah.
I write there occasionally. A great pop culture commentary website, and she loves Indian movies and watches them. We watch them together fairly often. And we also love mysteries. And we have been watching things like Columbo and Heart to Heart, like American TV, detective
Right.
shows from when we were little ones that we, maybe did not see as kids in my case. And I think I can convince her to watch this with me.
Oh, no.
Carol, I'm gonna make you watch this with me. Because then when you're watching it with someone, that's how you make sure you finish it, right? Or you can like stomp off in mutual disgust, which is also fun.
You could also make a drinking game out of it.
Right.
In your case, it would be medicines rather than alcohol at the moment until you fully recover. But it's like take a shot of like whatever pills you've been prescribed with some water.
One of the things I have to do is chew a lot of Tums, which is, like calcium carbonate, digestive thingies, and for calcium levels. And so like I have to have 8 of those a day so I can just like pop my little candy pills.
Do you ever like I don't know if we have this in America. I've never seen it, but like in India, when we were growing up for calcium, there would be this calcium Sandoz dog. It was like a white plastic dog. It was so cute. It looked like a basset hound or something. It had long ears and a little hat, and its tongue would be out like that. And you would unscrew the top, which was like a hat. It was blue. You unscrewed it, and it would have the calcium pill in it, and you would eat it. Oh my God,
Cute.
I loved it. Yeah, it was by Calcium Sandoz. Everybody had it.
Oh.
Every Indian person I knew in their medicine cabinet, they had the little dog. It was so cute.
You're gonna have to find that for me. So find a picture for me and send, because that sounds adorable.
I might be going to India in winter, and I feel like I want to get myself a Calcium Sandoz dog, and I'll ship you one if I find one. But they're so cute.
Is it as cute as the honey bear? Because I like the honey bear.
That is also very cute. But the advantage of the Calcium Sandoz dog, and this is what I used to do, is that once all your calcium pills in it are over, you can repurpose it. So I would
Yes.
put my pencils in the dog, like I would throw the top away, right? Or you can put other pills in
Cute.
it or whatever. You can't repurpose the honey bear because it's sticky.
Yeah, it is sticky.
I'll get you a
It is
Calcium
sticky.
Sandoz dog. No worries.
This is so interesting.
What?
Oh, oh my God, it is cute. I found it on Google because I
Isn't
finally
it so
understood how to spell
great?
it. It's really cute. It looks like kind of
Like a
like
basset hound,
yeah,
right?
Droopy Dog, the cartoon character
Yeah.
this is very cute. Yes, you should definitely put your pencils in that.
Yes. Yes. I will get you one. Not to worry. If you're going to take all
First,
these Tums, you might as well take it out of a dog.
for some reason, I was picturing a dog that's like standing on its 4 feet long ways. And I
Right.
was like,
No.
I was like, how do you put your pencils in there?
Right. No,
The
it was
lid is
so
a hat.
practical.
Yeah, very cute.
It's so great. Okay. Any other parting thoughts?
I think we have finished.
We've covered all the things we wanted to cover. Okay.
Oh, I have one more thing I want to say.
Yes.
So I put this on Twitter and over 100 people have liked this tweet. So I just want to mention it here too, not because it's groundbreaking, but because this apparently amused people greatly. I have been to India 5 times. I have traveled all over the country. I've been to at least 15 different cities. I have never seen an immersion hot water heater thingy.
I have not either, actually.
Okay. Actual NRI person here is saying that she has also not seen one of these. So I'm not the only person who didn't know what this was. And of course, my whole life, I have been told, do not plug something electrical into the wall and then drop it in a bucket of water.
That's what made me so nervous too. I was like,
I know someone's going to get electrocuted. Nobody does. So I
I
liked that they used
know.
it to kill in another way, but that thing terrified me. And so I
Yeah.
was talking on Twitter about it, and someone said, "Oh yeah, and there's little ones you put in your mug of tea." And I was like, even that sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Multiple people on Twitter said they have received an electric shock from this. And I was like, so why are we using this? Like, put the kettle on and then pour the water from the kettle, which I realize takes a step longer, but is much safer.
Yeah, but you don't die. I've never seen this thing. So at least in like, I mean, okay, so to be fair, I have traveled a fair bit in India, but when I visit India, I pretty much only go to Mumbai because that's where all my family is, and Pune because I have some family there. So that's basically it. I'll go to like Delhi if there's like a wedding, or go to Chennai to visit friends, but that's about it. So I mostly just go to the metros. And in every single metro, you have a geyser. That's how you shower. Like, there's the geyser in the bathroom, and you switch it on, and then it warms up, and then you get the hot water, and then when you have enough, you like switch it off, and that's how you do it. So there's no like things being put in things.
No
So when I
immersion hot
it made
water
me
heater.
nervous too. So that's an
Darn it.
actual thing that looks like. Yeah,
It's an
no, I
actual
don't know what
thing.
that is.
It's an actual thing.
Okay,
So
bit alarming.
you can laugh at us both. Share your electrocution stories below. Please be careful if you're using one of these. They look absolutely incredibly dangerous.
They look
Uh,
terrifying. I
and
know.
also someone was telling me, and they break frequently because of all the water moisture that gets into the electronics. And I was like, you think? Like, this sounds like a really bad idea to me. Like, encase the metal thing in some, I don't know. I'm not in favor of adding more plastic to the world, but this looks absolutely terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I realize not all of India is hot. I realize hot water is useful. We all like a shower that's not ice cold a lot of the time anyway. I'm telling you, I've been to Darjeeling. We stayed in the Amrita, the story is for you. We stayed in a West Bengal, government tourism
Oh,
hotel. So
hostel.
yeah, not fancy in any way, but they did have hot water. I'm pretty sure. Although it also had that kind of space heater that looks like an open grill, basically. It's just like it's like if you took the sides off a toaster, it's like you can see the exposed coils.
Oh,
And
okay.
those existed in the US when I was little, like 70s, 80s, but like those are very dangerous. And Amrita wanted
Oh.
to leave it on in the hotel room while we were gone for the day because she was so cold. And I was like, no, girl, we will burn down this hotel. I don't think the wiring is very sound in here. Like, absolutely not.
Oh gosh.
It was amazing, but it was cold, and so then we used the big chunky bedspreads that were so great. So
The only thing I know that like my friend used to do that used to make me very nervous, but I don't know if I should have been nervous. So when I lived in New York City, so a lot of the old like the pre-war buildings, they have the radiator, right? And so my friend had the radiator, and after they would wash their socks or whatever, they like because they would just hand wash their socks, and they would put them on the radiator, and I would be like,
that's fine.
is it fine?
I
Okay.
think
My
so.
friend was convinced it's fine, but I
Because
was like,
that is steam heat. There's no electricity
right.
in a radiator. Yeah. I mean,
Still, it's
the odds
weird
of
when you,
cooking
yeah.
your socks are pretty. I used to do that in Britain too, because a lot of Britain does not seem to have clothes dryers, which I know is ecologically more sound, but getting something to dry
Right.
in the United Kingdom is very difficult in my experience. And you're like, either you put your socks on the heater or your socks are wet forever.
Right. So that's why my friend would do them, because like
Yep.
he would like hand wash them, and then he
Yep.
would keep them but it's so like weird. Like, first of all, New York apartments are like tiny, right? They're like a little matchbox.
Yeah.
And you would go into this person's apartment, and there's like two radiators in the tiny living room, and there's socks in them, and you're like, huh, I guess that's our interior decor. Great, wonderful.
Very
But it's good to
Dickensian.
know it wasn't like dangerous. That's
I
good
don't
to
think
know.
so. I've never,
Okay.
and I'm fairly terrified of fire. So I should have said that at the beginning. Like, my reactions to all of this are someone who has lived in an apartment building that twice had fires start in it and had to go stay in a hotel because of smoke damage and stuff. So like, yeah, I have my
Oh my
reasons.
God. So when I was in college in Atlanta, which was like ages ago, I lived in an apartment complex, and my dog, who was like 11 years old at that point, saved me and my entire complex from death by dying by fire. And the way it happened was, so we had, every apartment had like a stacked washer dryer unit in there, which was great because that's Atlanta for you. It's not the coast. You can actually be a college student with an apartment with a stacked washer dryer, which is wonderful. And you know, it was like the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. or something. I'm fast asleep. My dog came, like, started whining and pawing at me. And I was like, what? But she was 11. So she was getting at that point where sometimes at night she would need to go pee. So I was like, what is it? Do you need to go pee? And she was just whining at me. So I was like, okay, let's go. So I'm sleepy. I have the sense to take my cell phone with me. I leashed her up. We went out. We went right behind my apartment building, and I could see smoke coming from the apartment right below mine.
Oh,
So I was on the
geez.
second floor. Yeah. And it was coming from the balcony. It was like, ah! So I immediately called 911. I was like, yes, hello. The apartment below mine is on fire. I see literal smoke billowing out of it. So that's what my dog had smelled. So what had happened was, so the fire department came. They actually evacuated our entire
Mm.
complex. And then after half an hour or whatever, like, everyone was like freezing in the parking lot. And like around like 3:45ish or so. So they broke into the apartment below mine.
Mm.
And eventually the story was, the guy who lived in the apartment under mine was like a student who had newly arrived from China like 6 months ago. He had never used a dryer in his life. He was not aware of the
Ah,
fact that after using the dryer, you're supposed to clean the lint. He didn't know. He had no clue.
yeah.
So he had loaded up the washer and dryer. He'd been cramming for finals, and he fell asleep, and the dryer caught fire. So it was like an electrical fire.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, that's fine. But if this dude was sleeping in the apartment, how the heck did he not smell the smoke? How did the smoke detector, how did
Right.
nothing? Why is my dog? Why does my dog have to wake everybody up and save them?
You
And
can
then,
have a
of
washer
course,
dryer in your apartment, but you still have to put a battery in the smoke detector.
I know. And you still have to clean your dryer lint. So it
Yes,
was
yes,
like
you
really
do.
crazy. And then
Mm.
of course I was very smug for the duration of my lease, because people were like, oh, she's the one whose dog saved us. And I was like, yes.
What did we do to
You,
deserve
my
dogs?
dog is the reason you are alive. So yeah, I was very smug, very obnoxious about it. It was great. Okay. So wow, we started talking about thrillers and Kalimpong, and we're ending with fire safety.
Never leave a burning candle unattended. That is what set both the apartment fires that I was a part of.
Were you the one who left the burning candle
No, I would
unattended? Okay,
never.
fine.
I'm terrified of such things. No, never.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I think that's it for this episode. For more life advice, make sure you check all of our episodes out. Next time, we'll talk to you about other kinds of safety, like cooking safety, maybe. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the things. And please continue to give us your suggestions on episodes you want us to do. And thank you for watching Filmi Ladies. Bye.